Former rugby league stars Matt Cooper and Paul Gallen were once state of origin team mates, but if Cooper has his way, the next time they meet will be in a UFC cage. Cooper, who has just completed a series in the celebrity Big Brother house alongside the likes of Caitlyn Jenner, Dane Beams and Meghan Markle's half-brother Thomas Markle Jr., is a longtime MMA fanatic who has a personal friendship with UFC boss Dana White. White has promised Cooper a slot on the undercard to fight footballer-turned-boxer Gallen the next time he brings UFC to Australia, but with COVID putting those plans on the back burner, Cooper is hoping to interest a local promoter in an MMA fight in Brisbane. Gallen, who suffered the first loss of his 13-bout career when he was stopped by Queensland heavyweight Justice Hooney in June, has said he would consider an MMA fight after 2 or 3 more boxing bouts. Cooper's manager has been in contact with Gallen about the possibility of the UFC or MMA contest, and while the former NSW Origin captain hasn't ruled it out, his preference is to meet Cooper in the boxing ring. Gallen told Cooper's manager that his promoter Dean Lonergan is planning for him to fight 2 boxers on the one night, and offered Cooper one of those slots, but Cooper is not interested. "I don't want to box him," he said. "I have been training in mixed martial arts for years and my strength is in my kicking. That's where I would have Gall's measure, and really, I have no interest in boxing. I just love MMA. To be honest, footballers fighting footballers in the boxing ring is old news, and so is boxing. The younger generation isn't interested in boxing, they want MMA. That's why UFC is one of the biggest sporting organizations in the world." Cooper was introduced to mixed martial arts over 20 years ago when he went to a local gym seeking additional fitness work during his 244-game career for the St. George, Illawarra Dragons. The extra training helped him reach the pinnacle of rugby league, playing in the Dragons' 2010 Premiership winning team, representing the NSW Blues 13 times, and playing 7 tests for Australia. It also sparked a love for MMA and UFC bordering on obsession and led to his close friendship with Dana White. "We met around 2013 when UFC signed up with Fox and Dana came out to Sydney for the announcement," Cooper recalled. "I knew a guy who was involved with the deal and he invited me to the press conference. When it was over, Dana and I got to talking for about half an hour. He was very intrigued about the NRL, he thought we were all mad, and he was blown away by how much I knew about UFC. We just hit it off. When he came back for the Ronda Rousey fight in Melbourne in 2015, he was on the NRL footy show, and just as it happened, I was too. I was standing backstage waiting to go on and he taps me on the shoulder and says, 'What's going on, Coops?' I couldn't believe he remembered me, but he said he'd been following me on Instagram and we started up where we'd left off. He fixed me up with tickets for the fight and we got together afterwards. It was 4 weeks until the Conor McGregor, Jose Aldo fight in Las Vegas, and I asked him if there was any chance of tickets. He told me it was a sellout and everyone was ringing him every day asking for tickets. Then he said, 'How many do you want?' I told him if he could just get me one, it'd be there. The next day he texted me, 'You've got your ticket.' I got over to Las Vegas and when I get to my seat, I'm in the front row next to Oscar de la Hoya and Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy. Kanye West is a couple of seats away. It's wall-to-wall celebrities. After the fight, Dana says he'll take me along to the press conference. On the way he says to wait a second because he's got to pick someone up and ducks into a dressing room. He comes out with Conor McGregor, his trainer and Conor's father, and the 5 of us are walking along chatting. It's the most amazing experience. Dana and I have been friends ever since. I've been back to Vegas about 5 times and it's the same every time, front row seats, backstage pass and meeting the fighters. The last time I was there we were talking and I told him I was keen to get on a UFC card. He said to me, 'What do you want to do that for? You've had your football career, why not leave it at that?' I told him it had always been a dream of mine to experience being in the cage and testing myself, seeing how good I am. He was hesitant, but when the UFC comes down to Australia it doesn't get a lot of mainstream media coverage. I told him if I fought Paul Gallen it would be huge news everywhere. I said we'd be on the Today Show, in all the newspapers and news sites. It would be massive. When I said that, his eyes lit up. He said, "Okay, if you can swing that, the next time we come to Australia, you're on the card." The offer has been put to Gallen, who remains skeptical, telling Cooper's manager that the idea of $1 billion company like UFC putting someone who has never fought MMA on one of their events is delusional. But, as a self-described prize fighter who will fight anyone if the money is right, he did not rule out an MMA bout with Cooper down the track. "It will only happen if I have guaranteed income that I'm happy with," he said. But no promoter in Australia will do that, and talk of the UFC being involved is laughable. Cooper remains positive. "I believe that Dana will stick to what he said, but COVID could make it impossible for them to come back down here anytime soon," he said. "Even if that's the case, I think we could make an MMA fight work. I have a business supplying hair products, and every barber shop I go into the young blokes are asking me, 'Are you fighting Gallen MMA?' They're all right into MMA and UFC. That's the future. We just have to get a promoter who is willing to get behind it. The pay-for-view would be enormous. We could have it in Queensland. Everyone there hates Gall. They'd line up to watch me kick him in the head. If Gall wants to have a couple of boxing fights first, even if it takes a year, that's fine with me. It just gives me more time to get ready. He might say it can't happen, but I say, why not?" His promoter Dean Lonergan got Manny Pacquiao to come out to Brisbane to fight Jeff Horn when everyone said it would never come off, and look what happened, 50,000 people at Suncorp Stadium. If Gall ever decides to have a go and challenge himself in the octagon, I'm ready, and so is the public. It's the fight they want to see.